Welcome to Table Talk here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show, the longest running weekly Philly sports podcast show in the world. 12 years strong. We've got a great discussion coming your way on Table Talk this week as we dive into this Philadelphia Phillies team, what we've been seeing from them on the field. Going to dive into the trades as well, some new acquisitions, and some under-the-radar storylines that we should really be focusing on during the course of this season at this point here in August. To join us from onpattison.com, we love talking to him, our good friend Tim Kelly. How you doing, buddy?
It's great to be back on with you, Jeff.
Always great to talk to you. I love talking Phillies with you, love talking baseball with you. And Tim, right off the bat, I have to say, I got to get your take on this too, because I'm just starting to get so tired of certain sectors of this Phillies fan base that are constantly crapping all over this team and Rob Thompson, even though they've been in first place in the NL East for the majority of this season. And Rob Thompson's win percentage, by the way, as manager over these past few years is absolutely ridiculous. It's off the charts. This is a successful baseball team, period. That's what we want as fans, a successful baseball team to keep things entertaining, to keep things fun throughout the Major League Baseball season here. They're one of the top teams in Major League Baseball, Tim. What would you say to these folks who have been real Debbie Downers about this Phillies team at this point? I don't know if you've thought about it at all. It's really been on my mind. What are you thinking?
Well, I would say that there are some legitimate concerns about whether you have enough start or whether you have enough relief pitching, even with Duran's addition, and whether you have enough bats in the lineup outside of Schwarber, Turner, Harper. Those are all fair criticisms or questions to have.
Absolutely.
None of them, to me, fall on Rob Thompson, though. They fall on the fact that some pickups in the offseason, like Jordan Romano and Max Kepler, and even going back to last trade deadline with Austin Hayes, that it didn't work out. So Rob Thompson, all the Phillies have done since he's become manager is win games. And I can certainly point to individual decisions that maybe I would have made differently. Right. But in general, I don't get the dislike for Rob Thompson because he's been the most successful manager in Phillies history through this amount of games.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in terms of where the team is at too, again, they having won against Detroit, the last game in the series against Detroit, put him first place over the Mets in the NL East too. It's not a perfect baseball season by any stretch. And we're seeing other Major League Baseball teams that are supposed to be powerhouses like the Dodgers at times, even like the Astros. There are teams out there who are they quote powerhouse teams that are having challenges of their own too. So sometimes I think Phillies Nation needs to take a step back. I should say certain entities within Phillies Nation needs to take a step back and say, okay, look, things could be a lot worse. I mean, I personally remember 2015, 2016, not the greatest time in the world to be a Phillies fan. I like you said, there are certain challenges this team has, but overall, I'm pretty happy as a fan about where they are at right now. The sky is not falling by any stretch, Tim.
No, it's not falling. They're going to be in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens there. I think, like, if you're making me pick who will win the World Series, the Phillies or the field, I'd say the field, but I'd say that almost every year. And this year is an especially wide open one where it's really there's not like an obvious team that is going to enter the postseason as the overwhelming favorite to win it all. So you get into the postseason, and people don't like this, but a lot of it is who gets hot at the right time. And I think the Phillies have a 1-2 in their starting rotation with Wheeler and Sanchez. That's probably the best in baseball. They now have an elite closer. And for as much as their lineup might be top heavy, you could do worse than having Schwarber and Harper as the two at the top.
Right. Exactly. And you know what makes postseason baseball fun? The fact that sometimes you just don't know what's going to happen and which teams are going to get hot, which teams end up cooling off too. But the Phillies are going to be in the mix for sure. And that's going to be fantastic. So moving along with the conversation here, Tim, I want to get into these trades that we just saw from this past week, what they mean for the team. I mean, I really like both trades, to be honest with you. And if I had to give the Phillies a grade after this trade deadline on the new talent that was acquired, that talent being Jhoan Duran and Harrison Bader, I'd actually give them a B+, maybe A- tops, because they upgraded two areas of this team that desperately needed it. They got better, in my opinion, and that's what you're supposed to do at trade deadlines. You mentioned Austin Hayes last year. Didn't necessarily work out, didn't really get better, but I think this year the team ended up getting better heading into August here. Let's not also forget that David Robertson is now on the team after Dave Dombrowski, wooed him from, his home, his wife, his kids. He's going to be back in this ball club here. But first, let's talk about the dominance that we have seen from Jhoan Duran, bringing this team a closer. Finally, we can actually say that we have a closer on this team that we haven't been able to say in quite a long time. What were your thoughts on the trade initially, Tim? And with what the Phillies organization had to give up, and inevitably what Duran will mean for the future.
Yeah, I thought it would take more to get him, to be honest with you. And that's not a diss at anyone. I think Tait's going to be a really good offensive player. We'll see how he sticks overall at catcher, but he has a high upside, but he's 18 years old, so he's years away from the majors. And I think Mick Abel can be a nice like number 4 starter for you. You're going to get 6 years of control if you're the Twins. Makes sense that they were interested in him, but I was shocked that they got out of that trade without giving up Aiden Miller or Justin Crawford,
Yes.
one of the bigger. They weren't going to give up Andrew Painter in any circumstance, I'm convinced. But without having to give up one of those other big guys, I am a little surprised by. So trade-wise, I think they did well there, and it kind of speaks for itself what he's done in these first 2 appearances as a Philly. All of a sudden, the 9th inning is a wrap. And that's there's probably 5 guys in the majors that you can say that about, and the Phillies now have one. And the last one, anything like that, was Jonathan Papelbon. That's a decade ago. Brad Lidge, 08, Billy Wagner before that. But it's been quite some time before you've had that guy where it's a wrap after they come in the game. And it makes it a lot easier, even with other concerns in terms of getting the ball to him in the 9th inning. Makes it a lot easier when you know for sure who's coming on in the 9th, and that 19 times out of 20, they're shutting the game down.
Do you think this possibly takes any pressure off of relievers like Orion Kerkering and like Matt Strom as well? Because I do wonder, and you're behind the scenes a lot, talking to these guys. You have a relationship with some of the players too. Like, I do wonder from a reliever standpoint, and have with this Phillies organization now for some time, due to the uncertainty, like the lack of actual like quote roles, if that uncertainty kind of leads these guys down different rabbit holes in their brains, and how that from a sports psychology standpoint could affect them in game time. Now there seems to be more of a, and because Duran's going to be the closer. We know he's going to be the closer. He's going to be that guy you were just talking about to really just get things done in that 9th inning. Like, I wonder if that takes a little bit of pressure off some of the other relievers to know that, you know what, there may actually be some possible roles for them. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it could to a degree because they know they're not pitching the 9th inning.
Yeah.
At the same time, I still think they're going to go best matchup between innings 6 and 8. So
Yeah.
I don't know that it takes a ton off of them, but it certainly takes something off of Rob Thompson to know that if you get through 7 and 8, 6 sometimes, you have really good starting pitching, and you have an elite closer at the back end. So you got to figure your way how to navigate through those innings. But the 9th inning is no longer something that you have to navigate through.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's move on to Harrison Bader here. There seems to be a split within the fan base about the Harrison Bader trade. Personally, I liked it. He's having a pretty good year offensively, as many of us know. His defense has also been pretty damn good, too. Again, this is a team I think that ended up getting better in an area where they did need to get better, even a little bit better. I will take it at this point. What were your thoughts on the Harrison Bader trade here, Tim?
Yeah, I think they got better. Now, whether they got better enough is a fair question, but I certainly think they got better. I know he didn't make a ton of an impact in his first series with the Phillies, and I would imagine you're going to see him play a little bit more as time goes on. But he's always been a tremendous defender, and he's having a really good year offensively this year as well. So he gives you flexibility whether you want to play him in center or left field. So, yeah, I think he's a good pickup. Now, I would be lying if I said I didn't think they needed a number 4 hitter as opposed to like a number 6 or 7 hitter.
Right.
But certainly the Phillies are better with him than they were without him.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Again, folks, we're talking to Tim Kelly from On Pattison, onpattison.com. A lot of great content over there. Tim, before we take a quick break here to pay some bills, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the interwebs out there if they want to follow you?
Yeah, everything on Pattison.com, and then at Tim Kelly Sports on all social channels.
All right, very good. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back in just a bit, talk more Phillies with you. All right, we are back, and we got to get into more Phillies talk here, and specifically, we got to get into one particular pitcher who, you go through time watching this Phillies pitching staff and the starting pitching, and you think to yourself, boy, we have been blessed over the years to have certain pitchers who have just been so incredible that you don't think to yourself, wow, could they falter every now and again? I'm talking about Zach Wheeler here and want to dive into him. As we know, Tim, he has been having some challenges as of late. It's something that we're not used to seeing. Again, I think so many in the fan base just kind of take for granted that we have had an arm like him for so long here. I guess it's a general question here, but what is happening with Zach Wheeler here?
Well, I think he's just struggled with his control since the All-Star break, but he's earned the benefit of the doubt, and I have little question that he's going to get back on track.
Yeah.
Whether he's going to win the Cy Young, I would say it's a long shot that he catches Paul Skeens at this point, but
Right.
he's going to be right in that mix most likely, probably with Christopher Sanchez at this point. And yeah, I mean, I think still going into the postseason, assuming you get there, which I think they will, you have an excellent 1-2 with Zach Wheeler and Christopher Sanchez. So it's not something I can get too worried about.
Yeah. How does a pitcher who is so seasoned, a pitcher who has been dominant, you talk about the control that he's kind of lost, he's trying to find it. I mean, you're a baseball expert, at least in my opinion. You're a baseball expert. One of the reasons why I want to have you on the pod. How does that happen in pitching? How does it happen where a pitcher as seasoned and such a veteran like Zach Wheeler, they just start to lose it? Can you kind of just take us through that and what you know and talking to pitchers over all these years? How and why does that happen? Then, consequently, how do they get it back?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know that I'm like the most qualified person to give that. I would say he said on Saturday, like it's just kind of one of those things that happens throughout the course of the season, and you kind of figure it out. He threw a complete game late in the first half. You had off through the All-Star break, like that can throw you off your routine a little bit. So I think he will get back on track. I think that's the important part.
There's mental stuff that goes on for sure when it comes to the professional sports world. The Zach Wheeler's going through a little bit, but I agree with you. I think he is going to get back to it sooner rather than later. There is another gentleman on this team I wanted to talk about as we're moving along here, Tim, and that's Bryson Stott. Boy, he's been having some challenges behind the plate, to say the least. And I'm at this point, as somebody who initially before the season started, I was looking at him as the comeback player for the Phillies team this year, that comeback kid. We were talking about him on our Phillies, preseason show about how much we were looking forward to seeing his growth and his development this year. At this point, and I'm wondering if it's fair, I'm wondering how we should be looking at Bryson Stott at this point, not only here in 2025, but his career as a whole. What are your thoughts here?
I think you should look at him as a platoon with Edmundo Sosa. That's what he is right now. Sosa plays against lefties. Stott plays against righties. Stott fields very well. He can steal bases, but he just is not hitting enough to justify anything beyond that. So he hasn't developed necessarily into the guy that I think many people thought he could be. It's good to foul off pitches, but sometimes, like, I think one of the things we've realized this year is like some of those pitches you should just be putting in play.
Yeah.
So I think like the jury's still out on him.
So you think it is? Jury's still out on him? We need to really start giving him the benefit of the, I don't know, benefit of the doubt is the right phrase, but
yeah, maybe that's not the right way to phrase it. But I would say he's going to be here the rest of this year, and you can make a decision in the offseason. I would say there's not a ton of great second basemen around the sport right now. So I don't know that you're going to upgrade from him in the offseason, but certainly you need more than you've gotten this season. I think that's fair to say.
Absolutely. All right. Well, buddy, before I let you go, we always love talking about under the radar storylines with our Philly sports teams that we cover here at the Philadelphia Sports Table Podcast Show. And as we're in the second half of this Phillies season here, I'm wondering your thoughts. Again, you cover this team on a daily basis over at onpattison.com. You are also, you're also in the locker room with these guys too as well. So what's an under the radar storyline that's really not getting enough attention that you think we should be following more as it pertains to this Phillies team?
I would say I'm interested to see what happens when Alec Boehm comes back. How effective is he? they need another guy in the middle of that order,
Yeah.
particularly right-handed guy. So how can he get on a heater, or is he kind of like down the stretch last year? I think the hand injury ultimately bothered him more than they let on at the time. Is he able to come back from this rib injury and make a big impact? Whether you think he should be like the number 4 or 5 hitter, he's going to be that. So they need a bigger impact from him than they got in the first half of the season. And if he's able to do that, then that kind of raises their ceiling in the postseason.
And I think based on what what Aaron Nola is going to do the
Yeah.
rest of this season is really going to determine. Am I right in how the playoffs might actually go here? Is because he has been a key part of this starting rotation during the course of the postseason now for how long? So
Yeah.
I think there's a good possibility that the Phillies postseason it's going to be contingent upon how Aaron Nola really like how he gets back, hopefully, to form.
Yeah, game one's going to be Zach Wheeler. Game two is going to be Christopher Sanchez. And game three, I still think is up for grabs. Certainly, if you get to a
Okay.
situation in the NLCS or World Series where there's a game four, it's up for grabs. So, yeah, how he comes back. And it also just determines how you feel about him moving forward. So, yeah, he's been the picture of stability until this year. Can he get back on that track down the stretch? It'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely will. Again, folks, Tim Kelly from onpattison.com. Always enjoy talking to you, buddy. It's great talking baseball with you all the time. Great talking Phillies with you. Come back, join us down the road. I'd love to have you back on, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Jeff.